Coming up in this fully narrated video, you're going to experience an exciting departure procedure from New York's LaGuardia Airport. I'll take you step by step from the gate to our climb so you learn where to sit and get the best views, and it all starts right now. Good morning and welcome back to my channel. I am at LaGuardia Airport in Terminal C today, and I'm getting ready for a departure to Gale intersection. Yes, this is a video about Gale, and as you can see from the title, the Pelham Climb. Boy, do I get excited about flight paths. I'm headed to Minneapolis on an Airbus A321, and I want to show you the way out of New York so we can head to the Twin Cities. Every departure with an instrument flight plan needs to fly towards an exit point before the en route phase of flight. Today after takeoff, we will fly a climb out called the Pelham Climb, then receive headings to fly to get to our departure fix of Gale, which is located near Goshen, New York, which is to the northwest of New York City. Our climb out today will provide an excellent view of the Bronx as we fly toward Pelham Bay Park. In this video, I'm going to take you step by step from the taxi out to the runway to the climb. Every flight is different, and with 4 possible directions to take off in and multiple climb outs to multiple departure gates in the sky, there's so much for me to cover, but today, the wind is coming from the north, favoring runway 4 for departures and runway 31 for arrivals, and I've chosen a seat on the left side of the plane for the best view of the Bronx as we fly the Pelham Climb, then proceed towards Gale. We've already left the gate at the C terminal, and we're ready to contact the ground controller in the tower for taxi instructions to runway 4.
742, taxi with November.
South 742, LaGuardia ground, runway 4, taxi Alpha Short Golf.
Runway 4, Alpha Short Golf for Delta 742.
We're not going to interfere with this spare landing gear set being transported off to our left, so LaGuardia Ground Control has given us taxi instructions to taxi to runway 4. We're told to take taxiway Alpha and to hold short of taxiway Golf. This is a taxi in a straight line starting from our position after being pushed back. Taxiway Alpha parallels runway 31 and taxiway Bravo, which is between us and the runway. We're told to hold short of taxiway Golf. Up ahead, the controller sees that there's a need to stop at taxiway Golf due to conflicting traffic. But, for now, the coast is completely clear on this part of taxiway Alpha. Sitting on the left side of the airplane affords a view of the terminal area. We just left Terminal C and are passing by the nearly completed Terminal B. Terminal B is brand new, and we get a fantastic perspective of the architecture from the airside. I posted a video about Terminal B on January 16, 2022, so don't forget to check that out. What's unique about Terminal B is that the gate areas are satellites connected to the head house by bridges, which allows for more ramp space and maneuverability, reducing ramp delays. It is a highly efficient concept that recently became a reality. Also, from this side of the aircraft, I can see the LaGuardia Air Traffic Control Tower, which is where the controller who told us to take taxiway Alpha is located. The controller is about to tell us that we no longer need to hold short of taxiway Golf, but we can turn onto taxiway Golf to transition to taxiway Bravo and hold short of taxiway Echo.
Delta 742, Golf, Bravo, short of Echo.
Golf, Bravo, short of Echo for Delta 742.
Behind the tower, we can see an aircraft on a downwind leg to runway 31. We can now see the now demolished old decon course at Terminal B. We're turning right on taxiway Golf as instructed by the controller. This affords us a view of Manhattan in the distance, but the view will only last as we turn onto Golf because, as instructed, we need to turn left onto taxiway Bravo. From here, we can also see our departure runway, runway 4. We're being asked to hold short of taxiway Echo because it's at taxiway Echo where we'll need to follow another plane to the runway that just left Terminal B.
742, you're waiting for one American paint Embraer. Once you see him at Echo, you'll follow.
Okay, after the American Embraer, we'll follow them for Delta 742.
Not everything happens on a first-come, first-served basis. Even though we were ahead of the American Airlines aircraft, we are asked to wait for this plane so that it can get in front of us and we can follow him. As this American Airlines Embraer becomes visible off the left side, the controller reminds us that we need to follow the plane and that the plane is moving now.
Delta 742, you'll be following the American Embraer off your left, so move now.
Okay, follow them, Delta 742.
So why did the controller let this plane get ahead of us? Well, remember that this video is about Gale and the Pelham Climb. The aircraft in front of us is going to Richmond, Virginia, which is to the south. It will be flying a different climb out than us and will be flying to a different initial fix. The controller needed to sequence this aircraft in front of us to add some spacing between our flight and other aircraft that are going to be going along our route to Gale. This American flight is going to fly a climb out called the Bronx Climb, which is different than our climb of the Pelham Climb, and it will be headed to the departure gate of White, which is down in Ocean County, New Jersey. You can see how the ground controller is carefully sequencing flights to help avoid airspace congestion. As we get closer to the runway, we're asked to monitor the tower controller frequency, who handles the runways.
Delta 742, number 4 miles per hour.
There are 4 aircraft ahead of us, including that American Embraer. Each aircraft will receive takeoff clearance between arriving flights on runway 31 because runway 31 intersects with runway 4, so it takes a longer amount of time to become airborne when this runway configuration is in use. As we get closer to the runway, you can see the aircraft that we'll need to wait for to land before we take off. This airplane will turn left towards the airport in a moment, but in the meantime, we're told to line up on runway 4.
Delta 742, LaGuardia Tower, 4 line up wait, traffic 4 mile final.
Runway 4, line up and wait, Delta 742.
The arriving aircraft is an Endeavour CRJ 900, and the controller referenced it as we were told to line up and wait. A few moments later, this aircraft lands. I'll let you listen in to the controller telling this aircraft to clear runway 31 before the intersection of our runway, runway 4, and to contact ground control so we can get clearance for takeoff.
Endeavour 5369, turn left angle, left turn Bravo, ground point 7, good day.
Left angle, left Bravo, ground point 9 there, 40, 5369.
Point 7.
Point 7.
So 742, wind 0308, runway 4, flip takeoff.
Takeoff runway 4, Delta 742.
We are ready to roll on runway 4. Let's go. We have 7,001 feet of runway available to become airborne. That may seem like a short runway, but our nose gear lifts off the ground by taxiway Echo, which is halfway down the runway. We're on a heading of 44 degrees, runway heading, and climb straight out. We're flying the Pelham Climb today. Following this procedure, at 500 feet, we need to turn to the left to a heading of 40 degrees. That's just 4 degrees to the left, and it's barely noticeable. We're headed towards Pelham Bay Park, and the tower controller instructs us to contact the departure controller.
Delta 742, continue your squawk today.
Call departure, Delta 742, good morning.
As we fly by Rikers Island over the East River, we call the departure controller at the New York Trade Con in Garden City.
Departure, good morning, Delta 742, 1000, climb at 5000.
Delta 742, near departure, radar contact, climb maintain 15,000.
Climb maintain 15,000, Delta 742.
The Pelham Climb calls for the pilot to bring the aircraft up to 5,000 feet initially, and when we called the controller, the pilot said we were climbing to 5,000 feet, but the controller, seeing that the airspace is clear, told us to climb to 15,000 feet. As we continue on the 40-degree heading, we have a magnificent view of the Bronx. The Pelham Climb is one of several published climbs for runway 4. The Bronx Climb calls for a left turn to the north after passing 500 feet, and the Sound Climb calls for a right turn to 55 degrees after passing 500 feet. We're practically flying straight out on this climb. Since our departure gate, Gale, is near Goshen, New York to the northwest, we need to continue on for a bit before we make a left turn. We're able to see almost all of the Bronx on the left. The view on the right side of the plane consists of the Bronx shoreline and the Long Island Sound. Also on the right side of the plane is the rising sun in the east, which makes me fortunate to be on the left side, where there's no sun glare and the sun is illuminating the dense areas of buildings very nicely. The controller is monitoring our flight on radar, and we remain clear of the previous departure, that American Embraer that flew the Bronx Climb with a turn to north after passing 500 feet. What a great day for flying. As we continue along over Pelham Bay Park, the namesake for this departure procedure, it's time for the controller to point us in the general direction of our departure fix of Gale. Gale is to the northwest, and a heading of 310 degrees puts us in that direction.
Delta 742, turn left at 310.
Left turn 310, Delta 742.
Our left turn occurs over lower Westchester County over the town of Pelham and the village of Pelham Manor. The left turn affords a view of the lower Westchester County cities of Mount Vernon and Yonkers. And beyond those cities, we'll continue to see the Bronx as we parallel its north border. Now, remember that we received clearance to climb all the way up to 15,000 feet. If there had been more traffic in the area, we might have been given a lower altitude to climb to, but it's a rather quiet morning. Departures from Newark Airport headed to the northeast and departures from Westchester County Airport headed to the south can also occupy the same airspace that we're in now, so careful coordination to ensure sufficient separation between flights going in so many directions must strictly be adhered to by the departure controller. With very little air traffic in the area this morning, it was easy for the controller to clear us up to 15,000 feet. But why just 15,000 feet? Why not higher? Well, it gets more complex. Above all the flights departing LaGuardia, Westchester, and Newark, there's another layer of flights, arrivals to Kennedy Airport from the west, that fly very high over this area to allow flights like ours to climb. I've got a whole video on that approach called Spectacular Approach to JFK Airport, which I posted on May 28th, 2021. Don't forget to check out that video. It is the most popular video on my channel. We won't be able to climb higher until we're clear of the JFK arrivals and are out of their way. We'll get these clearances to higher altitudes from another controller. The departure airspace is broken down into multiple sectors because the airspace is quite complex. We're about to leave the airspace of the first controller, so we're told to contact a second departure controller who handles the new sector that we're entering now.
Delta 742, contact departure 118.17.
1817, Delta 742, good morning.
That's all for listening to ATC for this video, but the new controller on frequency 118.17 will issue us clearance to higher altitudes as well as clearance to proceed directly to Gale. Once we reach Gale, near Goshen, New York, we can proceed on course with our flight plan to Minneapolis. Our routing today will take us over Niagara Falls, then into Canada for a bit. After Canada, we'll fly over Michigan. We'll then cross Lake Michigan and enter Wisconsin, and when we reach the western side of Wisconsin, we'll start our descent in the Minneapolis-St. Paul area to the airport. A glance behind this A321 shows New York City in the distance. What a great departure that was. I'll skip the en route phase of flight and show you a little bit of the landing at MSP. Today, we will be landing on runway 12 left, and in order to get there, we have to bypass the airport and circle back around to land, since the runway is generally in the opposite direction of where we're coming from. It's a hazy day in Minneapolis today, but I'm still in for the best views by sitting on the left side of the airplane. Let's end this flight today with a smooth landing on 8,200 feet of pavement. Well, thank you so much for watching my video. Stay tuned for the next one. And if you're not a subscriber, don't forget to subscribe. Thanks, everybody. Remember that if you're not subscribed to my channel, you're missing out on one of the most interesting and inspiring aviation channels out there. So consider subscribing so you don't miss my next video.